Hello, this is March 31st, I think, and we're just on the eve of Easter and April Fool's Day. This video is just talking about your final project. So I'm going to give you some ideas, and you can either take option number one, which is a straightforward annotated bib. I think you're familiar with those. I may put up a sampler too. But basically, you'd find 20 materials, which could be websites, books, DVDs, movies you might want to use. They could even be games, anything that I would like you to explore that would be useful for your classroom, in particular teaching what you would like to present in terms of multicultural education to your students. Notice an annotated bib is you have to do the APA style sheet. I'm not a horrible stickler on it, but you know, it should be reasonable. The title, the author, the publisher, etc. And then annotated means you have to talk about it. So you got to write a little paragraph or a substantial little paragraph for 20 different items. You have to talk about what is the main idea of the object or the book or the plot or the game, whatever, the website, what's it for, what's it about, obviously where it's located if it's a website, sentence stating the value of it in your particular school's curriculum, because I want you to put it in context, so a sentence or two about that, and then 2 sentences describing the subject, its value. I want you to make a judgment about it. And then where it would be useful and how it could be used with a class. So you're basically creating a set of 20 items. You can go 25 you want, but you got to have 20. So, and this is very straightforward. So for those individuals that have panic attacks and don't know how far to go or something, this is pretty straight cut. This is something I want to share. So if you do it, don't do a sloppy job, because I can't, other people may see it, okay? I'll get your permission, but I do want you to know that you want to be able to share this at your school. So that's for option one. The other options, and I call them wildcard assignments because they're kind of crazy off the wall stuff. You can invent an activity, a game, or take a game and add to it and flesh it out and build a game board. I've actually got some game boards. I'm going to look around and see if they're upstairs right now. There's a company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where if you want to get game boards, they can get round game boards. They can get one that looks kind of like a Monopoly. It has the squares around the edge. Or you can get a big circular one, or you can get different shapes. And then you can create a game. You can literally print things and either make a sticker or just tape it down, and you could create your own game. You can make, and even comes with cards if you want to print on the cards. You could hand print. And this is really fun. I mean, you think about it, you could do it with a novel or something you're teaching, like To Kill a Mockingbird, the game, I put things on here. You might want to choose like a Native American tribe. I had somebody ask me about how far should I go? Well, just do a good job with what you do. Don't try to expand to every tribe in the world or something. Just focus on, you can email me and ask me questions, okay, or call me. I think you got my cell phone on here. Yeah, you do. It's on syllabus, so you can annoy me anytime. So anyhow, so that one wild card would be a game. I actually had my students make an ESL game. It was kind of cool. I've got an ESL game, which I may try to videotape that so I can just show you what it looks like. Now, I'm also, by the way, while I'm in the middle of this, I've got a whole series on my book collection and different cultures and stuff, and I'm going to line those up. They're on YouTube, and you could literally Google me and watch the videos, but I'll post them. And so what I'm going to be doing this last month, I'm interrupting myself, which I do, is that you're going to have that project at the end. You know, I dropped the Pfeiffer paper. We're just going to do the interview. And so that'll make it one less assignment. And I want you to delve into trying to come up with something exciting for your class. I don't want a research paper, but if you have to, you can do that. They annotate a bit. Okay, I've got another one to come to, but I do mention in here that when I talk about things, you need to delve into them. Don't just say, well, the Navajo have sand paintings. The example I said, what does it mean? Ramadan in Islamic culture, what does Ramadan mean? You could do a game of Islamic religious holidays, or you could do a game of Catholic religious holidays, okay? Or generic credit. I mean, you could do religion. If you're teaching religion, you want people to understand. You got to realize where you are, what you're talking about. Jewish or Indian. Think about that. Indian holidays. You know, there's one. My ex daughter-in-law went over to India where they throw all the. I'll have to look it up, but it's called the color, and they throw dust on each other, so everybody's got all these red and brown and green all over their body. I don't even know what it is, but it's cool. I mean, it looks fun because people are just literally throwing this stuff. It's kind of like sand, but it sticks to you. So I don't know what it is. I hope it's not toxic. Talk about, you know, you could even interview people for it. I mean, you could do anything you want. If you get their permission, you want to use a clip. Or if you have a friend from that country, you could do foods. You could do a game about food or a presentation about food. And then you could have you should have some kind of activity or if it's not a game, if it's just a unit, then you want to have some kind of activity because you want to have variation. You want to have people applying it in some way. Essentially practice or an assessment. Let's don't call it assessment. Let's call it fun. And then, you know, you want to justify why this activity is needed. Now, I'll try to come up with some samples. I'll have to look back, but I'm giving you free rein here. How long should it be? Well, it could be 25 pages long, or it could be a game board with 3 pages. It could be some handouts. The idea is be creative with it. I mean, that's the purpose of a wildcard. It shouldn't be something you find on the internet and try to just tweak a little bit. Just make it applicable to a school like yours, or, you know, you might invent something. You may want to kind of keep it secret, but don't give too much away. But we're going to make money off it. I get a percentage, you know the rules. Then the third one is I got a lot of videos. I haven't even shown them all to you yet. I've got a lot of videos. You know, the rest of the banks is about different cultures. That's why I don't go through. I mean, I have it on the syllabus. I thought I might get to that, but I never do. So I want you to go through and pick out and look at different cultural background groups. You can do that in the context of whatever you're focusing on. You know, it doesn't cover every group, but it covers a lot of them. Like it starts out Native American, African Americans, Asian Americans, etc. I think it breaks it down to Filipino and Puerto Rican and things more specific than that. But you know, so I want you to use the book in terms but it's a little dated, but culture is not too dated. I mean, Puerto Rican culture hasn't suddenly dramatically changed in the last 5 years, except, of course, for the terrible storm affecting people's decision to leave the island, move to Florida or other states. But I have on here 9500 Liberty. I have The Lost Boys. I got Precious, which we can't put on. For some reason, it's just not working. But if you know the movie Precious, which is about an African-American high school age child who's living in great poverty in the 1980s. If you'd want to look at that movie and do something with it, you could. I'm a little questioning myself about that movie, only because it's easy to find a movie about a group and it shows their poverty, or doesn't always show. It doesn't show a nice overview, and sometimes the overviews get a little boring. They're just almost generic. But so I hesitate. But anyhow, you can find videos, and hopefully they're quality. You do want to look them up. You don't want to get something that's just a massive stereotype. Also, I'm going to post one on Kelly Peterson, Out of the Past, about a gay-straight alliance at a high school in Salt Lake City, which she had to go against the school officials and probably city officials and different groups. But I've got several of those, and I'm going to post some of those. And you're free to use other ones that you find. And this is your project, so you just go with it. Call me or email me if you have questions. You say, well, I don't know if I want to do this or that. And bounce ideas. I'm pretty good at getting to your emails right away, and you can call me. But if you do leave a message, make sure you either leave a voice message, I can hear who you are, because I do sometimes get calls from people trying to sell me something. And so I don't just jump on everything and listen to it unless I see a name. So if you text me, leave a name, don't just leave a number. So I hope that helps you. There's a couple of pages of detail in here. And that I've got that due around the 29th. I would like to share these too. I hope you don't mind. I've been sharing. I didn't share all of the interviews because there's so many. And I just tried to pick out a first 7 or 8 came to mind. I put those up. I hope that's fine. I hope those are helpful to you. A lot of getting stuff out of a class is not just jumping through hoops and getting a grade. It's actually intellectual engagement and learning things that you have to enjoy. You know, I always tell, when you get kids to read, you don't stand over them with a stick or with a pan pizza and tell them, if you do that, you'll get this pizza or something. You'll be punished or you'll be given some kind of an award. You want them to read for the sake of reading. And I'm hoping you'll learn for the sake of learning, knowing you have the freedom that I do not stand over you saying, if you don't do this, you won't pass or you're going to get a bad grade. You know, we're in a graduate class, expect people to have intellectual curiosity, to care. And, you know, I've got a couple of students I want to mention in the past in these classes have gone on to work on their PhD. Just thought I'd throw that in. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking of, not because you want to be a college professor, because it's a horrible life, but because you might want to explore something. You might want to become a reading specialist. You might even write a book or write articles or do demonstrations. And sometimes you get that PhD, people accidentally give you more credit, because I find the people that usually know the most, maybe people with a master's degree have taught for 20 years, probably the best experts you can ever find. Okay, well, I hope that's enough. And then I'm going to talk about race and the human zoos in my other video. I'm trying to keep these short because I just ramble. You know how that is.